Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. Joe Samaniego here, along with Kobe Lambert from the podium finish, Adam Lemeries, and Joshua Burst from Joshua Burst Motorsports on YouTube. We encourage everyone to participate in the chat room. We got a lot to discuss today, including Formula One, MotoGP, the NASCAR Cup Series, and the Repco Supercars Series. And we want to thank our Patreon subscribers, Colin, Mark, Michelle, Robin, for keeping us on the air. Click on the link below to be a Patreon. And a special hello to our Ultimate Sports Radio Network listeners. We'll get started with Formula One in Mexico City.
Yes, Mexico City, like Coda, they didn't host a race last year because of the pandemic, and this year we anticipate another huge crowd and extra support for Sergio Perez, with Checo now in a car capable of winning. However, let's be honest, if he wins, then something bad has to happen to Max Verstappen. He'll definitely be Red Bull's top priority. Max is in a tight championship battle with Lewis Hamilton and knows that every point will matter, leading the championship by 12 points now. His teammate taking away crucial points from him simply can't happen. An accident, retirement, and Hamilton scoring max points will be detrimental. Now, Red Bull has been very strong at this track, and many anticipated Red Bull on the top step of the podium. We might see them even get a double podium result. Do you believe Red Bull is entering this weekend with the same level of confidence that it had entering Paul Ricard when they scored a double podium and each driver had won the last two races?
Absolutely. We've come into a circuit which suits the Red Bull cars like no other. Paul Ricard, that was a race victory that was almost stolen from them until they got it back late on in the race as well. Was it 3 laps to go? Verstappen past Hamilton. We had more dominance the last time we were at an altitude circuit in Austria, the 2 Grand Prix we had there. Both Verstappen won. And now we're coming to a track, the highest on the calendar, 2,200 meters above sea level as well. We've got the engine package that works well here as well. It's not just the fact of how good the aerodynamics are. The fact is that because of the way Adrian Newey tightly packs all the control units together, there's not a lot of room where there's not a lot of room in there where any spare oxygen would be burned up because it's tightly packed. It's almost like a vacuum packed seal. So the car runs better when there's actually less oxygen running through it. It's a remarkable bit of engineering that Mercedes haven't quite got the hang of yet. They always suffer at circuits like this. They suffered a lot at Austria over the years. Singapore, another circuit where the air quality isn't that great. They always suffer there, and they suffer here as well. Hamilton won the last race we had here in 2019, but this has always been a Red Bull circuit. They dominated qualifying in 2018. They've taken 2 victories here in the last 4 seasons as well, both coming from Max Verstappen. And if I'm honest with you, it could be the fact that because we've come into this weekend, we see Bottas topping FP1, Verstappen topping FP2. I put money on Perez topping FP3 just to throw in more spice into the Mexican Grand Prix. That is, of course, if it can get any spicier.
Yeah, it's called. We've talked about in the past that, this is going to be a Red Bull track, because of the high altitude. And after what we saw at the U.S. Grand Prix a couple weeks ago, we all said that Max Verstappen is going to win here, and Mercedes is going to stumble. Well, we saw in FP2, Max Verstappen was fastest and had an outstanding lap time. So I believe this race is Max Verstappen's to lose. But I think overall it'd be kind of cool to see Checo Perez winning in front of his home country fans in Mexico City.
Yeah, but it would definitely be really cool to see Checo win. Earlier in the week, I was thinking I really want to pick Checo for pick a winner because I want to see the amazing post race scenes. I think it would be one of the most memorable post race celebrations that we've seen in recent memory in Formula One. But I know, like I just said, the only way that would probably happen is Max Verstappen having a bad day because of Perez is leading and Max is second. I know team orders, people don't like it. It's going to be really hard to tell Checo to pull over and let Max through at his home Grand Prix, but thinking big picture, Max needs those max points, no pun intended. So it would be a really, really tough decision from Red Bull, but actually it would be an easy one because the championship is more important than winning your home Grand Prix. In this case, I'm assuming Hamilton doesn't score any points, Verstappen can leave Mexico with a 38-point advantage. If he wins and scores the fastest lap bonus point. However, there's still plenty of points up for grabs because we have Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, if the track is ready, doesn't look like it's going to be, and Abu Dhabi to end the season. But let's address what might be the most critical part of the race. Turn one, lap one. A long run from the grid to turn one, drafting can be a big advantage. We assume the front row is the best, but the second row can make a move with the slipstream. We've seen Verstappen and Hamilton get together more than once this year. What can we expect after lights out on a long run down into turn one, Adam?
Oh, it's called. If you ever watch a drag race, it's gonna be side by side going into turn one, and F1 cars don't have parachutes like a drag racing car does. So we could see someone outbraking someone. We could see another Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen crash. We could see a number of cars get taken out. You're talking about the slipstream. Yeah, that is definitely going to happen. I believe it's one of the longest straights on the F1 calendar. So I believe it'll be craziness going into turn one after the green light tomorrow, and I believe we could see another dramatic battle between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton in Mexico City.
It's 980 meters the entire straightaway, and it is 900 meters from pole position all the way down the start-finish straight of the Recta Principale into turn one of a braking zone. They're going to be doing 8th gear, flat out, 347 kilometers an hour. They're going to have to slam on the brakes to 3rd gear at 105 kilometers an hour. And the last time we raced here, and also in 2017, at that first chicane, Hamilton and Verstappen have come together. History's on the side. Another instant that I'm going to pick up on is the fact also 3 races after they first made contact at the British Grand Prix, it was the Italian Grand Prix. They made contact there as well. 3 races later, oh yeah, it's the Mexico City Grand Prix. The stats seem to be on the side that we're going to see contact between Hamilton and Verstappen. It's been raging throughout all the weekend as well. And I think as well, it wasn't helped by the media with Toto Wolff saying as well, he wouldn't say no to Lewis Hamilton doing a Senna move on Prost like in 1990 at Suzuka. We're getting to the real nail-biting end of the season as well. There's so much to look forward to. Turn one tomorrow, 900 meters blast off. I've got a feeling we're going to see more drama than we've ever seen before at a start, and that is including what we saw in Hungary and even throwback to Spa 98. It will have more impact in the championship than any other start line because history is on our side here with Hamilton and Verstappen making contact. It's a tight first corner. Someone's going to crash, and I'm betting it's going to be them.
Oh, yeah. I'll agree with you on that, Josh. And, I mean, you think back to 1990, Suzuka, Japan, Alan Prost versus Ayrton Senna. We could see that again tomorrow. 2021, Lewis Hamilton versus Max Verstappen. I think it might happen, and I do believe it will happen.
Yeah, they seem destined to make contact again at some point. If it's not in Mexico, at Brazil, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, that happen, or Abu Dhabi. Imagine we get down to the final race of the year in Abu Dhabi, and the championship is decided by contact with Lewis and Max crashing. And I did see quotes from Lewis in the media earlier in the week saying that he doesn't want the championship to be decided that way by contact, because I'm pretty sure if one of those drivers end up crashing out and that's it for the championship, it's going to leave a lot of sour taste in many folks' mouths. And in Hungary, we saw Esteban Ocon become the first non-Mercedes or Red Bull driver to win this season. Then Monza, Daniel Ricciardo took the win from McLaren in dominating fashion. Now Ferrari, with an upgraded engine, they look near even with McLaren in terms of performance. However, the high altitudes are now in play along the long front stretch. If the 2 Mercedes and Red Bulls are surprisingly out of contention for the win, which team and drivers do you anticipate fighting for the victory in Mexico City?
Despite Ferrari's upgrades, I'd still say it would be McLaren. They've got the car that I think all season has been best of the midfield teams as well. They've been fighting for third in the constructors, yes, with Ferrari, but Ferrari had a shocking start to the weekend. Leclerc put it in the wall not 5 minutes into FP1, lost 26 minutes of running, damaged a rear wing as well. Those things are expensive, more expensive than the front wings as well, because with the rear wing, it's attached with the DRS, it's attached also to the actual suspension of the car. It all fluctuates and all sorts. It takes longer to repair and replace a rear wing. So definitely my money will be on if Red Bull and Mercedes are somehow out of contention for the race. I wonder how that's going to happen. My money will be on McLaren. And we've seen already this weekend, Danny Ricciardo fluctuating around the top 10 already as well. He's not been getting that close enough yet. So definitely I think Lando Norris could stand a chance of getting a podium or even the race win if we're talking Mercedes and Red Bull out of contention. If not, I've got a bad feeling we're going to see the usual top three at the front, which would be Verstappen, Hamilton, and Bottas as well, for what is going to be coming as the last couple of times. That three lineup will appear in the same order, with Bottas hopping it over to Alfa Romeo next season.
Yeah, I believe, we saw Daniel Ricciardo win at Monza. I believe that if both Mercedes and both Red Bulls somehow get knocked out, I think we could see another shoey from Daniel Ricciardo tomorrow in Mexico City. Like you were saying, Josh, McLaren's have been strong. Right now, both of them look really strong. So I believe it could be, we could see another shoey from Daniel Ricciardo tomorrow if both Red Bulls and Mercedes get knocked out.
And speaking of shoeys, if you watched last night's NASCAR Camping World Truck Series Championship race at Phoenix Raceway in Victory Lane, Ben Rose's crew, they did a shoey, and it was really crazy seeing how the shoey has really gone international. Daniel Ricciardo started doing it, and then you have drivers and team members and other disciplines of motorsports doing shoeys as well. Thought it was a real cool moment to see that Thorsport racing team doing the shoey right there in championship victory lane, and I do think that McLaren probably have the advantage if Red Bull and Mercedes are out of contention. Daniel Ricciardo got the win at Monza, so I think it would only be fair that Lando Norris be in position to win next in Formula One. And shifting gears away from Formula One, going to MotoGP, after the most recent qualifying session, Pecco Bagnaia took pole position with Jack Miller and Mir completing the front row. Your new MotoGP world champion, Fabio Quartararo, 7th, and we have no Marc Marquez this weekend. We already told you on Grid tonight about his training accident, suffered what they call a slight concussion. He's not racing this weekend. Josh, people are already talking about the 2022 season before we even complete these final two races of the year. It's going to be a contract year for Mir, and everyone's wondering, is he going to stay with Suzuki after 2022? Marc Marquez, a potential championship rival for Fabio Quartararo and Pecco Bagnaia next year. Next year, we come back to Portugal, and it'll be the 5th round of the MotoGP season. Is this weekend more of a race or test session to get data for 2022? And is Marc Marquez's absence going to be a negative factor with killing all the momentum he had going into next year?
Yeah, Marc Marquez's accident is a weird one. It was a training accident on a cycle, and he's got a concussion as well. Of course, after the death of Jason Tepasquier earlier on in the season as well, the riders across all the classes as well have been saying, look, we've got to start taking head injuries more seriously. You've got to start doing this. They've really been pushing for safety. The mainly safety as well is if you have a bang to the head, the concussion, doctors used to be, can you see that? What's your name? How old are you? Where are you today? And all that lot as well. And that was it. No scans, no nothing, just a quick chat. It's really come on a lot in the past 2-3 months as well. And now the riders themselves are taking themselves out of the Grand Prix if they feel they have a concussion. We've seen it happen a couple of times already in the past month or so. The most recent victim, Marc Marquez, saying he doesn't feel fit enough. I have got a concussion. I don't want to ride. Now, Marc Marquez is somebody who has ridden with a concussion before. Back in 2010, he had a bang and knock on the head in a qualifying session at Sepang. In next day, he raced, and I think he finished 3rd off the top of my head as well. But he's a lot older than he was, and he's got a lot more bangs to his shoulders as well as a result. So a safety precaution, he's out. We'll find out on Monday if he can race next weekend at Valencia. If not, Marc Marquez will miss the last 2 races of the year. in terms of impacting him for the season, I think it's actually going to be okay because he's coming off 2 victories at 2 very different tracks, COTA and Mazzano as well. So for Marc Marquez going into 2022, he knows he can win again. He's a 3-time winner already this year after winning at Germany early on in the year. Coming into this weekend as being a test event, I think you're absolutely right with what you say as well. This wonderful Portimao circuit, the Autodromo International do Algarve as well, is really good for testing motorcycles as well. A lot of track days get used for it as well with riders all in the off season as well. And we've seen in the times, especially the combined practice times as well, Bagnaia and Quartararo were separated by thousandths of a second. Now that the titles all wrapped up as well, they've been released sort of. Bagnaia's carried that energy across all of the sessions as well, setting very fast times and now starts on pole position. Ducati locking out the front row for the 3rd race in a row with Bagnaia and Miller starting on pole and 2nd place as well. Johan Mir, starting 3rd, as you said, on the grid. But problem is with Mir, he's now no longer the reigning champion. He's not even the defending champion. He's just a champion now. It's changed his mentality ever so slightly as well because he hasn't had a better year as he thought he would do after winning last year's title. Suzuki look to be bringing back in Davide Brivio, who's now the Alpine F1 team. He's due to make the switch back to MotoGP for 2022 to become the team manager again, as Suzuki have looked like a sheep in headlights this weekend as well. They've had absolutely nothing to do. Going forward as well, in terms of other Suzuki news, it's not Johan Mir who's under contract problems at the moment. From what I've heard this weekend, he's going to stay with Suzuki because he was looking to switch over to Yamaha, but they've locked in with Morbidelli, and he doesn't want to go ride on the Petronas team, which will be rebranded next year, as well as a single Yamaha entry. So it looks like Mir is staying at Suzuki. It's his teammate Alex Rins who is under pressure. Rins has not performed at all this year. He came into the team last season as the 2 years ago as the number 1. Mir's come in last season, blew him all away, and now he's definitely a number 2. Some even calling him he should be a reserve driver. Rins has been absolutely shocking this year in some of the own team members that have been saying as well. Although things around the grid as well, Stefan Bradl back in, replacing Marc Marquez. He too is testing a lot of components on this bike for 2022 as well. So Repsol testing what is going to be a brand new bike for 2022. They're calling it a whole new chassis as well. The engine block gets lifted next season as well, brings in a whole new fresh changes. So the last 2 races and the last 8 days of the season, very much so going to be used for testing now that the pressure's off of the title. And of course, because we got rid of the postseason test, there's now only 6 days of testing coming in next season. So it's all going down there. That's a very quick wrap up of MotoGP because it's been a very eventful weekend, Kobe.
Yeah, quick wrap up, but very insightful, Josh. And it would be really crazy if Davide comes back to MotoGP after going to Formula One, because usually when you make such a big switch like that, it's usually long term. And to go to Formula One for a year and come back to MotoGP, that's huge. It'd be massive for Suzuki. And like you said, they've been performing like deers in the headlights, not really having a good year at all. And if they get that experience and knowledge that Davide brings, returning to Suzuki, I think that'll do them a lot of good moving forward as they try to get their bikes much better, compete and able to take the fight to their competitors more often. And next we're gonna be going into our 2021 NASCAR Cup Series Championship 4 preview.
And before we do that, Kobe, Josh, we know you have to get ready for SP3 and qualifying, and let the viewers know I'll be joining Josh and his sister Megan for qualifying for the Mexican Grand Prix at 3:45 p.m. Eastern time. So that'll be really cool. So before we let you go, Josh, I'm gonna let you do your picks for pick a winner for this weekend. I'll start with the F1 Mexico Grand Prix. Who wins tomorrow?
Heart wants Sergio Perez. Head says Max Verstappen. He'll win tomorrow as well. Whether it be a team order situation, I'm not too sure. It all depends on who's leading and what the tire strategies are like. But if Red Bull can do a fantastic strategy as they did in COTA, it'll be Verstappen ahead of Perez.
All right. And next up, we have the MotoGP race at Algrave. Who takes the victory there?
It's been a bit of a difficult one because it's been sort of Bagnaia and Quartararo all weekend long. Quartararo got held up a lot in qualifying too, only didn't set very good times and got 2 of his lap times taken away for yellow flags caused by Luca Marini crashing at the last corner. So I think Quartararo will storm through the field as we've seen him. Bagnaia, however, can control the pace at the front. We've seen him do it numerous weekends now. The only difference is if he can keep it on the road and keep the 2 wheels pointing in the right direction, we should be okay. So I'm going for Francesco Bagnaia to win the MotoGP tomorrow.
Sounds like a good pick. And now we head to Phoenix, Arizona, where the NASCAR Cup Series is having their season finale. So who is your pick to win the race, and who is your overall pick to win the championship tomorrow afternoon?
I'm going to go Denny Hamlin for both, actually, because especially after last weekend as well, the controversial things he's done post-race as well, he really has thrown himself into the mix to get in the championship floor as well, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know it's on the same time as the Mexican Grand Prix, but I'll be following it via all the devices in the comms box as well. But definitely, I think that's going to be a nice little mixture to see. And he's an outsider, and I like outsiders with Denny Hamlin right at the back of the championship run.
And next, we have the Australian Repco V8 Supercar Series. I don't know if you follow the series really well, so I'll ask, who do you have for races 2 and 3 at Sydney Motorsports Park down under?
I was watching a bit of it this morning. I haven't got the biggest following of the supercars. I know some of my Australian fans who also watch them are probably going to annihilate me in the coming free practice 3. But Van Gisbergen had a run in as well. Davidson was frustrated with him in that first session, in that first race as well. We had earlier on today under the lights as well. There's a beautiful picture actually of the racetrack under the lights. One of the few we get in the supercars. I know that more as well. But what about Shane Van Gisbergen? I'll throw him in. Bad race 1, could have a good race 2. That's my wild pick. I need to get more invested in supercars ahead of 2022.
All right. So we thank you, Josh. And now it's time that we talk about the NASCAR Championship 4. It goes down to the season finale tomorrow in Phoenix Raceway in the Valley of the Sun in Arizona.
Valley of the Sun, Arizona, Phoenix. Very exciting to see the NASCAR Cup Series and the crowds back at the track. Of course, last year, limited crowd allowed at the track due to the pandemic. This year, we might see a full house of race fans, which will be really fun because this is the first time for the track hosting it with the fans. And for one driver, first time in the Final Four. We'll get to that shortly. But of course, the playoff race, this one's a little bit different than all the other playoff races we've had all year long because we had a 15-minute practice session, and then we're going to have qualifying later today. And it's been really interesting to follow how everything's going, taking a look at some of the practice speeds from yesterday. As you can see, Brad Keselowski was the fastest. Second fastest, Kyle Larson. The championship 4 are highlighted in yellow. Of course, you see Chase Elliott 5th, Denny Hamlin 8th, and Martin Truex Jr. not there because he's 18th. We only have 312 laps, no competition caution in stage 1. So you have a bad starting spot in a caution-free stage, that could spell trouble if you're starting towards the back. We saw that happen to John Hunter Nemechek yesterday, starting out in the back, getting in early trouble, and essentially ruining his championship effort. So, does this particular format of qualifying gain an advantage or a disadvantage for any particular driver, starting with you, Kobe?
Well, I think for the championship 4, I think the best thing they can do is try to qualify at the front, at least on the front 2 rows, because it'll make your life a lot easier. As we saw that the only practice session we're going to have this weekend, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, they look like they roll off the truck with a lot of speed. Martin Truex Jr. look like they're going to have to make some adjustments and find something if that's the starting spot for the race. If I'm Martin Truex Jr., I still wouldn't be too deeply concerned, but if I'm still stuck by 18th after the end of stage 2 around there, then I'm definitely gonna be worried. You brought a great point, Joe, about John Hunter Nemechek last night in the Truck Series season finale. We turn 1, got up into the wall, come down the track, got hit by another truck, and he trapped a lap down. But by the time he got back in the lead lap, it was too little, too late. Trap position means everything in Phoenix because when they get spread out here, that's a lot harder to pass. So I think that for these championship four drivers, having a good qualifying is going to be very, very, very imperative. And if you're back a little bit further, you're gonna have to slice and dice, and those restarts are gonna be everything. Because if we have the type of race where cautions break cautions, I believe they'll be all right. But if we somehow have what we saw yesterday, the truck race has been absolutely chaotic this year, and with a lot of contact, a lot of crashes. And yesterday was the one truck race which was relatively clean, and that will end up biting John Hunter and Nemechek. I remember at one point they were saying, like, shouldn't they take the wave around to get back in the lead lap? At but they decided to call them to pit road instead of taking the wave around, because they're worried on older tires. John Hunter would go a lap down, not be able to keep up with everyone. And looking at everything now, I bet Kyle Busch Motorsports wish they had gotten John Hunter and Nemechek to take that wave around and just simply take a risk, because they probably would have been in a better position to move forward had they done that. So I definitely think qualifying is going to be key for the Cup Series as well.
Oh, yeah, Kobe, I completely agree with you. I believe if you start at least in the top 10, you'll have a really good shot tomorrow, especially for the championship four. Right now, you have to say Kyle Larson is the overwhelming favorite. He was second in practice, followed by his teammate Chase Elliott, and then the Joe Gibbs duo of Denny, Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. Kyle Larson right now has a lot of momentum. He's going for win number 10 and in the claim of NASCAR Cup Series Championship that no one thought he would do this year. So I believe if you start in the top 10, have really good pit stops along the way, those are two keys in my mind to have a successful run tomorrow and hoist the NASCAR Cup Championship at Phoenix.
And you bring up a good point about qualifying and being very key. The one thing I feel like it was a disadvantage for qualifying will be Kyle Larson. The reason why? Looking at the practice speeds, Kyle Larson was the second fastest. If this was a race where they just unloaded the cars and hit the track, no qualifying, he'd be on pole. He'll be that much faster than everyone because Keselowski will be further towards the back, and he was the fastest. So I feel this allows everyone an opportunity to get a little bit closer to Kyle Larson. So I feel that's where the advantage has been for everybody else. The disadvantage, Kyle Larson, of course, Ryan Blaney, he was much faster. If he had practiced last weekend in Martinsville, it could have been a much different story. So huge implications, I can say, for qualifying. And one of the drivers that many see as a favorite has to be also, besides Kyle Larson, his teammate, Chase Elliott. He won here last year. He did them two in a row, Martinsville, and then come in here, getting a championship. But he did it with no teammates in the Final Four last year. This year, Kyle Larson, the other favorite, his teammate, you could race him hard, but you got to be careful. Don't take him out, and especially don't put yourself in a situation where you take each other out, and then there's no Hendrick team winning a championship. And Chase, he only has 2 wins this year, both of them on road courses. No oval wins. Really interesting. Comment in the chat room, does this sort of make it where if he wins a championship without winning the race, the first road course ringer to win the Cup Series championship? Really odd to say, but look on paper, 2 road course wins, no oval wins, and a championship. That would be something I think a lot of people would not see coming. Adam, starting with you, do you believe Chase Elliott has an easier road or a harder road to the championship this year?
Oh, I think it's been a harder road because of his teammate Kyle Larson. Like we've said over and over and over again, nobody saw this coming from Kyle. Nobody. Probably no one in the NASCAR media, no one, all the fans and everyone here at Grid Network. Chase Elliott this year, I'm still shocked he only has 2 wins on road courses. He's been really, ovals, he's been really successful on ovals all year long, but hasn't put together the right moves to win. So I believe it's been a harder road for Chase Elliott all year long, but Chase Elliott right now does have a lot of momentum on his side. His favorite Major League Baseball team, the Atlanta Braves, won the World Series on Tuesday night for the first time since 1995, and we all know how Chase is a really big Atlanta Braves fan. So maybe with the Atlanta Braves winning the World Series on Tuesday night, will give him some momentum going into tomorrow's season finale in Phoenix.
Yeah, and it really seems like the tide is starting to turn for all you Georgia sports fans out there. We know in recent years it hasn't been good at all for the state of Georgia at all. The Atlanta Falcons, we all know the blew the 28-3 lead to the Patriots in the Super Bowl. All Atlanta and all other sports not going well. Braves won the World Series. That was really huge. So after the Martinsville race last Sunday, just a few hours after Chase Elliott got out of the car at Martinsville, he was at the game watching at the World Series, so I'm sure that for that private plane got him there in record time. But in all serious, I do think that that it could potentially be another good time for the Georgia sports fans to keep the momentum rolling with Chase Elliott. But I do think, like you said, Adam, it's going to be a harder road to the championship. I remember earlier in the year when Kyle Larson was having this success in the first third of the season, we were wondering who's the number one driver at Hendrick Motorsports. Is it Kyle Larson or is it still Chase Elliott? I remember all of us said that it was still Chase Elliott right now because Kyle Larson is a newcomer to the team. And I think after looking at everything we've seen this season, Kyle Larson is definitely that number one driver at Hendrick Motorsports over Chase Elliott. I think Larson is obviously going to be the favorite to get things done this year. But we remember that championship four drive from Chase Elliott last year. I definitely think that he'll certainly be a strong contender for the championship. It's just a matter of wondering, can Chase Elliott take the fight to Kyle Larson? I think Chase is definitely capable of getting Denny Hamlin, Truex Jr., but Kyle Larson, I'm not so sure. I think they're going to be near even, and it's going to be an epic battle that might come down to Hendrick Motorsports teammates.
A battle between teammates. It's going to be really fun for the fans. It will not be fun for Mr. Hendricks to just sit and watch because he will love to see either driver get it. Biggest thing, don't wreck your teammate. That's always the number one rule when it comes to motorsports. And last year, Keselowski and Logano, they were the two teammates in the Final Four, so Penske had 50%. Chase Elliott, of course, we know there was there. And the other driver, Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin this year is getting back for his seventh shot at trying to win this championship. 6 times he's come close, but hasn't done it. And in fact, the last 3 years, he's been the fourth place finisher out of the championship four. And all season long, very consistent, close to wins. A couple slipped away, including Indianapolis, where he was pushed out of the way by Chase Briscoe. And then Martinsville, we all know what happened between him and Alex Bowman. And that really unleashed a different side of Denny. Press conference on Media Thursday, he had a different attitude. It was just, this is very different than what we've seen all year, where I feel he acted very championship. And now the question, starting with you, Kobe, do you feel Denny Hamlin is more determined entering Phoenix, or is he more distracted this weekend?
To be honest, I think Denny Hamlin is more determined than ever to win the championship. I don't think he's distracted at all. While a lot of people think he got distracted by Martinsville, I think he's actually going to use that as motivation to win the championship and get everything done. And we know Denny Hamlin at his current age, according to Motorsports Analytics, Denny Hamlin is in the prime of his career, and we've been wondering, when is Denny Hamlin finally going to break through and get that first NASCAR Cup Series championship? Because as Denny Hamlin gets older, he's going to get out of prime in his career, and we're going to probably see him decline in performance at some point within the next 3 to 5 years, depending on however long he races. So Denny I think Denny knows that the window for him to remain competitive, go out there to win a championship, is starting to close. I still think we'll see Denny Hamlin be strong in the NASCAR Cup Series for years to come. But the window is starting to get a lot shorter for him driving the best that he's driving right now. And at the end of the day, if Denny Hamlin is unable to win a NASCAR Cup Series championship, I have a feeling he'll be up there with Mark Martin as one of the best drivers to never bring home a cup title. So I definitely think Denny's going to be more motivated than ever because, like I said, the window is going to be closing in the next several years. So it's basically like now or never for him to win a championship. And if you watched his media day and saw what he was saying, he said that he embraces the chaos that is NASCAR. His personal life is chaotic. Everything about his life is chaotic, whether it's on the track or off the track. So he just decides to just embrace it. And I think that the incident with Alex Bowman, when Bowman put the bumper to him and turned him around, prevented him from winning Martinsville, I think he's actually going to use that to light the fire and go out there and try to win his very first NASCAR Cup Series Championship. So I don't think Denny Hamlin is distracted at all.
Oh no, Kobe. And you brought up a good point with Mark Martin. And for the fans that may not remember, Mark Martin tried his hardest year after year after year trying to win NASCAR Cup Championship. He was battling people like Dale Earnhardt Sr., Rusty Wallace, and Jeff Gordon, and Dale Jarrett. And, they didn't have a championship for back in the day, but Denny Hamlin right now is more determined than ever to win a NASCAR Cup Championship, and I gotta agree. I believe his window of opportunity is slowly slipping away. I believe, he needs to win the championship now, or at least over the next 2 to 3 years. Otherwise, it could be game over for him. He has been solid all season long, really competitive in that number 11 Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. And I believe what happened last Sunday at Martinsville gave him so much momentum. So Denny Hamlin right now has to be a co-favorite to win the NASCAR Cup Championship tomorrow in Phoenix.
I would have to say I do believe he's one of the favorites, and I think this year, surprised as it may be with everything that has transpired since Sunday, I feel like this is the best Denny Hamlin we're seeing coming into the championship. And that's saying something, because one year he was essentially had the championship won, but then that big oversized tape patch on the grill ruined his race, ruined that night and his championship host. But this year he seems very determined. I don't think he's distracted. He's been around long enough to know don't get yourself distracted, but use it to be determined and a motivator. And of course, Denny's equal all season long, but not by consistency, but instead winning and dominating the race. Kyle Larson, over 2,000 plus laps led, 11 poles, and 9 wins. He is going for his 10th win and first championship tomorrow. And an interesting fact about the number 5 for Rick Hendrick. First car that Rick Hendrick entered in NASCAR was the number 5. First win, number 5, was Jeff Bodine. If Kyle Larson wins the championship, it's the first time any Hendrick Motorsports car number, so a car number with Rick Hendrick, has won a championship with 2 different drivers. Just to prove that, Jeff Gordon, all his championships with the number 24, no other driver has won a championship with the number 24. Jimmy Johnson, the number 48, still nobody under Rick Hendrick Motorsports with the 48 has won. And Chase Elliott, of course, brought the number 9 championship. First time. Terry Labonte won the championship in 1996 with the number 5. So if Kyle Larson wins his championship with the number 5, he is only the second driver to do that and the first driver to do that with another number that somebody else in Hendrick is going to work it with. Since Kyle Larson has never been in this championship Ford before, is he at a disadvantage compared to the other 3 racers?
I'm going to have to say yes to that, Joe. And you brought up a good point with Terry Labonte in 1996, driving the number 5. The number 5 overall team has not had a lot of really good success since the Iceman Terry Labonte won the NASCAR Cup Championship in 1996. So Kyle Larson, through this drive the number 5, with Cliff Daniels as his crew chief, you'd have to say he's the 1-9 favorite right now. He has been so strong all season long. No one, like I said earlier, nobody saw this coming from him. No one. He has gone out there week after week after week, driving his heart out in the number 5 car for Hendrick Motorsports. In a couple weeks ago, we mentioned that could Kyle Larson win 10 races? Well, he's up to 9 right now, so it could happen tomorrow in Phoenix. Kyle Larson could win victory, number 10, in his first NASCAR Cup Championship. And if he does, I don't believe that's the first championship Kyle Larson will win.
Yeah, it could be. Oh, go ahead, Kobe.
Yeah. What I was gonna say is, I think Kyle Larson win the championship. I think he can potentially go on a run here. I know it will be extremely hard given the current playoff system. You can have a really great season, dominate, get down to the last race, something go wrong, like we saw with John Hunter and Nemechek in the truck race, and and then it's gonna be game over. But what I'm seeing from Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels right now, I know it's the old 48 team, but I really see like a Jimmy Johnson, Chad Canals type of connection between those two, and I believe they win this championship. They can potentially go on a run here. Let's see if they can potentially win. I don't know if they'll win 5 in a row, but maybe go back to back, win 3 in a row. If they have really good luck, then I certainly think that's possible. He's definitely at a disadvantage if we're looking at experience in terms of competing for a championship. Martin Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, they've been there, done that. They compete for a championship, and we know Denny Hamlin. He's tried so hard to win the championship, hadn't able to do that. So all three of those drivers have experience competing for this NASCAR Cup Series title, except for Kyle Larson. I do think that he'll have the speed and that he'll be perfectly fine, but he doesn't have the experience for the championship. And heck, John Hunter Nemechek in the truck, I know I keep talking about him. I didn't think he would be at a disadvantage because that 14 truck series been strong all year, but it really showed on the opening lap that John Hunter didn't have that inexperience competing for a championship. Really showed getting into the wall when he really shouldn't have forced the issue at all. He should have been a lot calmer behind the wheel. Make sure you get through those opening laps. And I think if he had done that, John Hunter Nemechek might have been the Truck Series champion, and instead of Ben Rosen. Also, one thing looking at from Kyle Larson, he got busted for speeding twice last week at Martinsville, and those were mistakes we haven't seen all year from Kyle Larson. I'm wondering if the pressure of going for the championship will get to him or not.
The pressure of the championship, I feel that is something where we don't think too much about until we get to this situation. Because one of the things I remember, and I think Adam might remember this as well too, 1992. It wasn't a chase, but it was essentially 6 drivers going for the championship. Davey Allison had the points lead. First time he could try to clinch a championship. First lap got involved in some damage and then got caught up in the crash. The mistakes from Larry McReynolds, that has haunted that 28 team to the point where people talk about that being a moment. I feel Kyle Larson, the team, got to realize, let's not make those same kind of mistakes. The 28 team or other drivers that have come in with the points lead, including Denny Hamlin, where he had a point lead over Jimmy Johnson. First lap spun in Homestead, and Jimmy Johnson got that championship. So we talked about already 3 out of the 4, but the fourth one, the one that's under the radar, especially compared to his teammate, Martin Truex Jr. By the way of him coming into the championship, I feel has really shown championship materials. They fought through adversity. Last weekend in Marksville, they were in the picture, then they were out of the picture. They hit the wall. They had damage. They muscled their way into the playoff championship 4. What a run. And of course, he won at Phoenix during the springtime. However, practice 18th fastest. Now, yes, they have an opportunity to adjust the car, get it back towards the front for qualifying. Do you believe Martin Truex Jr. chances at the championship are below average, or above average?
I think Martin Truex Jr.'s chances of winning the championship are actually above average, and I'll tell you why. You already said the point. He won the Phoenix race here in the spring. Joe Gibbs Racing, they have a really good package when it comes to the 750 horsepower. Or your 750 horsepower, high horsepower package with low downforce, and we saw what he did in the spring, and I'm sure they definitely have their notes from that race. So Martin Truex Jr., that number 19 Joe Gibbs Racing Toyota Camry, I think they'll be able to get the right setup. Although they weren't that fast in practice, I'm sure they're going to make adjustments, try to get the car closer to the other championship 4 competitor. But based on his run in the spring, I think Martin Truex Jr.'s chance of the championship will be equal along with everyone else. So don't be surprised. Although I do think that Martin Truex Jr. is the long shot in this championship, I think he could certainly bring home the trophy at the end of the day. I know he won several races throughout the season, had some weekends up and down, but I'm sure him, James Small, that team, they're gonna get everything in order to try to go out there and take a serious chance for this championship. And also, I want to say that we're gonna be ending an era on Sunday as well. The final race for the Gen 6 car. Everything you've known about NASCAR for years is gonna look different next year. The art of the current NASCAR pit stop, changing the multiple lug nuts, that's gonna be gone. Going to a single lug nut next year. And I know a lot of people like to harp on NASCAR racing package and all of that, but I just want to give everybody some advice: is to just simply sit back and just enjoy this while you can, because after Phoenix, NASCAR is never going to be the same again.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with you, Kobe. It's the last time we'll see the Gen 6 car, and we've all, there have been talks about what are all these NASCAR teams going to do with these Gen 6 cars? Are they gonna move some of them to the Xfinity Series or maybe the ARCA Menard Series? So it'll be interesting to see what happens with all these cars after tomorrow in Phoenix. But Martin Truex, cool. So they are going to the ARCA Menard Series. Thank you, Kobe, for that update. Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. tomorrow. Yeah, he did win in Phoenix in the spring, and that gives him some momentum for tomorrow. But to me, he is a long shot to win. So I'd have to say, given the odds, probably about 10-1 for him to win the championship tomorrow. But hey, we all saw what happened last night in the Truck Series with John Hunter Nemechek, and there was a poll up on Twitter from John Morris of NASCAR saying who is everybody's pick to win, and 11% guessed Ben Rhodes, and mostly everybody guessed John Hunter Nemechek. Well, 11% who guessed Ben Rhodes won, so anything can happen tomorrow. I believe it'll be a crazy race, and since the last time we'll see the Gen 6 cars on track, who knows what's going to happen? It's going to be like a free for all.
I think it's going to be a lot of hard racing when it comes to Martin Truex Jr. I feel if he wants to contend for this championship, he needs to start up front, not put himself in a spot in mid-pack, because everyone else, they're going to be just going out there trying to get the win, as many points as possible to end their season on a high note. Last thing he wants to do is get into somebody else's trouble and ruin his race, like we saw with John Hunter Nemechek and, of course, Xfinity Series. We might see that as well, too, as everyone's racing hard for either a win or a championship. A lot going on in Phoenix this race weekend. Of course, tomorrow, approximately 90 minutes after the NASCAR Cup Series race, be sure to tune in to Grid Live Wrap-Up, where we're going to discuss all the race weekends we've discussed, including the next one, the Repco Supercars Series in Sydney Motorsports Park. They have a 3-race this weekend, 2 nights, and essentially there's 2 today and 1 tomorrow. A unique format compared to what race fans are used to with the Supercars Series. And the big thing, of course, after last weekend, Shane Van Gisbergen, he eliminated several drivers from contention of that championship. Only 1,200 points left, because it's 300 points each race weekend divided by the number of races. And after this weekend, we only have 900 points up for grabs. And that could potentially cut the championship picture to as little as less than 10 drivers. Adam, with Shane Van Gisbergen's points lead, he's still racing hard, and he's still proven to be hard to beat. Could we see racers get more physical and giving Shane Van Gisbergen less room, or even forcing him wide and maybe even off the track?
I believe it could happen, but SVG, he likes to, he doesn't like that to happen to him. I think SVG wants all the other racers around him to race him as clean as possible. So all I know is, SVG right now, he won he won his 13th race last night at Sydney Motorsports Park. last night Arson Martha's 250th start for Triple Eight Race Engineering. So really cool anniversary there. You know, he pitted a couple laps after his teammate Jamie Wincook did. SVG had fresher tires than Jamie and took the lead and never looked back. Over a 13-second win for him. Gives him so much momentum right now. Has over a full race weekend lead over his teammate. So SVG right now is looking very strong in the Repco Supercar Series. And also, take a look at the grid ranking standings. He is up there as well. So SVG, he is one of the most dominant drivers in all of motorsports right now. So I believe everyone wants to race SVG clean, but we'll see what happens over these next couple of weeks at City Motorsports Park. And we can't forget the Bathurst 1000. It's a 6-hour race, and, well, anything can happen at Mount Panorama.
Anything can happen. I think you bring up a good point about racing respectfully, clean. Shane Van Gisbergen, you're going to race him hard, knowing he doesn't have to really too much worry about going for a championship. But I think the big thing, roles reverse next year. If Shane Van Gisbergen is not in for that championship and you are, if you give him the room this year, he'll give you the room next year. Definitely is going to be really interesting. Of course, as you mentioned, Supercar Series all weekend long. Few more race weekends left, and then of course they end it with the Bathurst 1000. And we're going to end this show with the usual pick a winner.
That's right, Joe. And we gotta say congratulations to one of our TikTok users, Susie Snow Music. She correctly guessed Ben Rhodes as the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion last night. That's 4 points for her. Pretty cool. I gotta say, wherever you are, I really like your name. So, and now it's time we make our picks. First off, we head to the Mexico Grand Prix in Mexico City. Starting with you, Kobe. Can Max Verstappen make it 2 wins in a row?
Well, Adam, to be honest, I really want to go with Checo. I really do, just because of the scenes, the post race. But I know that as bad as Checo wants to win that race, I know Max Verstappen definitely going to have higher priority. And watch me be wrong. Watch something happen to Max and Lewis in turn 1, and Checo's going to win the race. But I'm going to go with the safe pick and pick Max Verstappen to win the Mexican Grand Prix.
Yeah, that's a solid pick too. We've talked about overall this is a Red Bull track, so I'm going to have to say Max Verstappen wins 2 in a row. You know, he won last time out in Austin, Texas at the U.S. Grand Prix, and I think his momentum continues in Mexico.
If you're going to make it unanimous for Formula One, Max Verstappen, that Red Bull team, they're looking fast. I think Perez qualifying, it's never been his strong suit. I don't see him being up towards the front, which he really needs to be to contend for a win. And at the end, if they survive lap 1, corner 1, it's going to be Max Verstappen taking that win.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Joe. And now we head to the MotoGP race at Algrave, and we know that Bagnaia is on pole. Quartararo has already wrapped up the championship, so I'll start with you, Kobe. Who wins the MotoGP race tomorrow morning?
And this time around, I actually think he's going to stay on his bike and not wipe out. Think from pole, Pecco Bagnaia going to get the job done and win it at Portimao.
Yeah, I have to completely agree with you, Kobe. I believe Pecco Bagnaia starting on pole. I believe he'll ride a solid, dominant race, and I think Pecco Bagnaia get the solid pick to win the MotoGP race at Portimao.
My gut says Pecco Bagnaia, but I want to go somewhere a little bit different. I'm going to go with Jack Miller, his teammate. He needs to put together a good, strong run, get some momentum going. He's been struggling compared to Pecco, and I think this weekend he could just get that done.
And now we head to the Valley of the Sun. for the season finale of the NASCAR Cup Series Championship. It comes down to 4 drivers, Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott for Hendrick Motorsports, and Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr. at Gibb Racing. Oh, boys. I'll start with you, Kobe. Who wins the race tomorrow? Who do you think takes home the championship hardware tomorrow night?
Like I've said in recent weeks, it would be an absolute shame if he doesn't win this championship, considering the strong historic season that he's had. In a way, like some people on my team at the podium finish, we've been talking about how does Kyle Larson's 2021 season compare to Jeff Gordon's championship season. I believe it was in the late 90s. I can't remember which year it was off the top of my head right now, but Jeff Gordon, Kyle Larson, seeing a lot of people see similarities in terms of dominance. I think Kyle Larson going to win the race and take home the NASCAR Cup Series Championship.
Yeah, if you want to leave that graphic there too, Joe, it was back and forth for me between Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, but how can you not go against Kyle Larson after the year he's had? You take a look at the grid ranking standings. He's the highest placed NASCAR driver. He's had an overall solid year, so he's third right now behind Sebastian. In front of him are two outstanding drivers, Sebastian Ogier in World Rally Championship and Shane Van Gisbergen in Supercars. So I'm going Kyle Larson to sweep the race and the championship. And Joe, Kobe and I, both of us know where you're going. So if you haven't watched all year long, you know where Joe's going. So Joe, might as well end it on a high note. Tell us who you're picking.
I will end it on the high note, but I'm going to put in a little twist. Kyle Larson's going to win the championship, but we never say it had to be the same pick for the championship. So Kyle Larson wins the race. That's my pick, so I continue that streak. But to play it safe, I'm going to pick Chase Elliott for the championship. So I'm splitting my bets. We never said it was against the rules. So, but yeah. So a little bit of a shock. That just makes it where figure, hey, we never said it had to be the same person. So I figure I'm going to do that. I believe we still have supercars.
Yes, we do. And now it's time to go to the land down under for the last 2 races at Sydney Motorsports Park. One race in daytime and one race on the lights in prime time. Kobe, I'll start with you. Who wins race 2 and race 3 at Sydney Motorsports Park in the Repco Supercar Series?
My pick's going to be simple. Shane Van Gisbergen, weekend sweep. Next.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'll agree with you, Kobe. SVG sweeps the weekend. Joe, you're up.
It's unanimous. I mean, how could we, after what we're seeing, you're risking it going with somebody else. Yep, there's the posters. It's going to be a Shane Van Gisbergen weekend, I think. It's going to be more of a surprise to someone. Maybe Pasquale could put in an effort, but it's going to be still a lot for them and for everyone. I encourage everyone, be sure to pick a winner and comment with who you think is going to win each race, plus the championships. And now that you also have the loophole, you could pick a different driver for the championship and the race win, because we never cleared up the rules, but we will next year, because next year, very excited for Pick a Winner, where we're going to have it for the fans and, of course, for us. But for the fans, a special goodie at the end of the season. Be sure to subscribe and like to the Grid Network so you don't miss any Pick a Winner, our motorsports journalism, including Grid Tonight and the Women Racing to Win, where we showcase all the female athletes in motorsports, and Grid Tonight, where we report on the latest news and notes. Be sure to follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, as we post content there each and every week, including our Pick a Winner picks and Monday Thoughts, where we recap the biggest stories from the race weekend. And be sure to visit the Grid Rank on Twitter at Grid Rankin. Follow, as we only have a few weekends left of the Grid Rank for 2021. And be sure to visit our friends at Publis, 10% discount for Grid Network viewers, and Public.com, the stock market social media page where you can invest $5 in free stock thanks to the referral code that we have with them. And of course, a big thank you to our investors from Patreon, Colin, Mark, Deshaun, and Robin. They're keeping us on the air. Click on the link below. Keep us on the air for 2022. This year was a phenomenal year for us where we got to go at the track for the Portland Grand Prix IndyCar race. Next year, we're very excited to expand to at least 2 events, plus more Race 5 content as we preview some of the big races around the world. Joshua Birch was on the air earlier with us. Be sure to follow him and Adam as they call Free Practice 3 for Adam Lemery's Kobe Lambert from the podium finish. I'm Joe San Diego. Thank you for watching today's show. We'll see you next time.
Don't be an anonymous investor. Join the stock market social media platform public.com. Invest any amount of money and share with friends and new friends. Discover new opportunities such as new companies and potential business partners, and useful tools for beginners, and share your experience with friends on public.com. Link in the video description gets you $5 for being a Grid Network viewer. Use the referral code GridNet for your free $5 to invest and start investing and networking on public.com.